Hello, this is Dr. Young, and I'm going to go over your week 3 work real quickly. For your discussion, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to talk about the 5 organizational structures from your text. You're going to decide which structure you would choose to work in and why, and you're going to compare the organizational structures of Google and Walmart. Explain what type of control processes might be found in each of them, and then describe what kind of quality management processes might be found in this structure. So, based on this research that you do for Google and Walmart and the types, you're going to use some of that information for your paper. You will need to use the SUO library. I don't know, is that SOU? SUO library and credible sources. That means no Wikipedia, no eHow, no about.com. So make sure to read your text. Your text is going to be heavily involved in this assignment because you're going to learn about the structures and control processes. Just want to remind you about the rubric. I'm getting some information about that, or push back. But this rubric is in every discussion, and there was a video during week 1 talking about following this side here, making sure you meet these requirements. So specifically, that has always said you need to respond to me, to respond to 2 of your classmates on 3 different days, and use supporting sources for your responses. I do look at that, and I do take points off. So make sure you're reading this carefully and understanding what your requirements are. I just don't want anyone to think, I hate if someone says, well, you didn't tell me. Well, it was in the rubrics, and I was clear that you needed to be familiar with those. And you also need to make sure that everything posted on the announcement board or in the course you're responsible for. I know it's hard to look through all that. I know it's time consuming, but if you want to take classes, you gotta have to do that if you want to get the best grade you can. I mean, if you're looking for that perfect grade is what I mean. So I just wanted to review that, and I wouldn't want anyone to think that I'm just not communicating that, because I did, and that's why I do post these videos, because I want to give you more than just what's written in the course and in the shell. So I do want to give you more than that. I wanted to clarify, and that is why I did that in the videos for week 1. So that's just a reminder. For your week 3 paper, it's a big paper. It's 200 points. So, having said that, there is a parameter here for 3 to 5 page papers. Please make sure 3 to 5 pages does not mean 3 to 5 pages total. That means the body of the paper, the text that you're writing, the information, the content needs to be 3 to 5 pages. And obviously, a 3-page paper is not going to get as good of a grade as a 5-page paper, because that's 2 full pages of content that you're giving me. That's going to add to your grade, obviously. So I would err on the higher side of that if you're looking for that perfect grade. Also, proofreading in APA format is included. So make sure that you are going to the course resources in the left menu and looking at the sample APA paper, because that's a really good guide to use when you're writing these papers. It contains all the information and the arrangement of your citations, the punctuation, everything is included there. The indentations, the headings, all that is on that sample paper. So I would highly recommend that you download that paper. It is located in, I don't want to go veering off my topic too far right now, but if you look in this area and then you go to the APA block, click on it, you will see there is a sample paper included in the APA section, and I highly recommend that you use that. It is very helpful. Also, there's many other resources there that you can use as well. Like sample of specific citations are there, so I would use that. Now back to the paper. I'm going to go down here, and here's the rubric. You read the directions, but the rubric, what I would recommend you do is download this expanded one right here. So basically what you're going to do for the paper is summarize the type of organizational structures and the characteristics managers might consider when assessing how to structure an organization. So you want to look at different organizational types, read about them, look at them. I'm going to go back to the course real quick so we can compare. You're going to summarize them, and then you're going to assess the structure, a selected organization and structure. So you're going to pick one. It could be one you've worked for, it could be a company you've worked for in the past, or you could research one. It's up to you. Your choice. But I do want you to summarize the types, then pick one. Offer the chart for that company and include it into the paper. So integrate it into the paper, paste it in there, cite it at the bottom. Summarize types of controls important to effective organizational management based on assigned reading. You're going to be reading about control systems, and you're going to talk about 2 of them. So this is a paper that is heavily dependent on your text, but that does not mean that you can't use outside resources. In fact, it's highly encouraged that you use outside credible resources to support this paper. Let's see. You can analyze the effectiveness of the control management systems in terms of whether the organization is achieving its purpose based on academic principles and theory from assigned reading. So, when you're talking about control and management, you're going to need to talk about how, an organization is structured. The decision-making processes are set. And the product or service is chosen, and you're going to make, let's just use a product, for example. Okay, I'm going to work at a retail, I worked in an organization with a functional structure. Decision making is based on a kind of a hierarchy. You've got, you've got it. It's not really a flat organization. It's based on the different functions, and there's control methods that are used in this. I'm actually using a large example, but I'm not going to name any names. But there are many ways that they control their processes, and they control their, their quality, and they use different methods. One of them is Six Sigma, for example. And that's a quality method. But you will see and hear talk about quality as well in the text. And that is just one small way they use a control method. And there's also management systems. In this particular organization, you have executive management, and then you have middle management, and you have team leaders. So there's a hierarchy there that is established. So you need to think about your organization and how do they do these things, and how do they do what kind of management control systems do they use? Analyze how their organization's structure, culture, management systems, and decision-making process relate to one another. This is where you need to make some connections. And if you look at the, this is the smaller rubric. If you look at the bigger rubric, you will see, let me find it. There it is. Every time, looking at the exceeds expectations section, work was very well supported. This is in every single aspect. So all that means is whatever section you're working on. For example, for the first one, you get talking about, okay, here's all the types of organizational structures. Here are their characteristics, and what should managers consider when assessing how to structure an organization? So they have to think about what is their purpose, what's their product, what's their service, and what structure would lend better to them. How about their locations? Where, things like that, environmental issues. Just how do they figure out, well, how are we going to start this organization? How do we want it structured? But when you do that, then you're gonna talk about this. Then you want to make sure you're supporting it with text, or in you can use some outside resources, of course. One thing that's great about using, I don't know, Forbes or Business Week or something like that, is sometimes you're talking about an organization and there's a great example to use, like in the news, or they might have an article about Google, for example, and how their organizational structure, fosters innovation, and how does that happen. That's the kind of things you want to incorporate into your paper. You're talking about this topic here of organizational structure. Hey, let's see if we can find an article or research on a certain organization that is set up the way my organization is, and use that as an example. Or set up as you're talking about in this paragraph the matrix, for example, maybe, or a structure, or I don't know, a functional structure. Hey, here's a great example of that structure in this article. So think that way as you're writing and developing your paper. Bring in those examples, bring in those case studies or whatever, or examples. It really adds gravity to your paper. So for each section, you're going to see this little part there. When you add that kind of thing, if you add that extra dimension to your paper, it's really going to make that paper a lot more credible, and it definitely a better grade. So I'm just telling you why that's important and how that affects this, your grade in the paper. The quality of the paper is really the main point here, but you see what I'm saying. So anyway, you're talking through all these points. You're summarizing the organization. You're using one as an example. You're talking about what kind of factors might help determine what structure to use for maybe a new organization or one that's changing. Then you're going to talk about types of controls, type of management controls based on reading. Utilizes theories and principles there when it's talking about the management control systems in your text. Then you're going to talk about what your opinion is of the effectiveness of the control management systems. Let's say also you could, at this point, if you're using your own organization, you can use some of the examples of when they used certain control methods and what the results were. Whether you thought they were good results, bad results, what would you change? You can talk about that kind of thing. And then how does the control the overall structure and management controls, how do they affect the structure, culture, and decision-making processes in the organization? That's how you're going to close the paper. And then the rest of it is just, your writing and components, and that's all the APA stuff. And your writing. Grammar, use of commas, capitalization, all that stuff. Sentence structure. All that adds up to 200 points. This is a huge paper. Take your time, do the best you can on this paper. It's just a really big part of the course. This paper in week 5. Of course you want to do well on everything you do, but if you have to prioritize your effort, this paper and the last paper is what you want to put your concentration into. And I'm just being honest, because I know that it's almost like there's a battle for, all these assignments are battling for your attention, and you have to, sometimes you have to, put your best effort and get the quote, biggest bang for your buck, because that's what I guess the point I'm trying to make. So anyway, I hope that has been helpful to you. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to assist you. That's what I'm here for, and I want you to succeed in this course. I do. And I just felt like this paper definitely needed more clarification. So text me if you have any questions. That's the fastest way to get a hold of me. You can email me too. I'm just letting you know the fastest way. And I hope you have a great week. Thanks for listening.